Thank you all for being here with us today on this day of protest, the continuation of the United States offshore penal colony known as Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. I am Michael Ratner. I'm the president of the Center for Constitutional Rights, and we are co-sponsors of this press conference with Amnesty International. Immediately to my right is the executive director of Amnesty International United States, Larry Cox. The format today is we're going to have a press conference in which there'll be 6 speakers, including myself. Larry Cox, the executive director, will speak after me. Then we'll hear from Gita Gutierrez on my left, who's a Center for Constitutional Rights attorney, the first attorney to go to Guantanamo and actually visit clients there in 2004. She continues to visit Guantanamo on a regular basis. Tom Wilner, immediately to the right of Larry Cox. Tom is a lawyer at Sherman and Sterling. He, along with the Center and a couple of other lawyers, began the first cases 5 years ago challenging the continued detentions at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. He's been a real hero in this struggle to give legal rights to the people at Guantanamo. And to my left, to Gita's left, Mary Harding, who's with an organization called Torture Abolition Survivors Support Coalition. It's a group made up of torture survivors. Mary herself is a torture survivor from Bolivia. And Jumana Musa, where's Jumana? There. Jumana Musa is the Amnesty International Advocacy Director for Domestic Human Rights and International Justice. She is going to close the press conference and take questions from all of you. So thank you very much again for being here on this 5th anniversary. You know, I recall 5 years ago when the first Guantanamo detainees were taken to Guantanamo. Even before that, I knew that one of them who was going was David Hicks from Australia. And we decided to represent David Hicks. 5 years ago, a small band of us got together to say the U.S. should not be running a law-free zone at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. It's illegal, it's unconstitutional, and it violates the moral and legal stand the United States should have. There were very few of us when we began. There was Tom Wilner, myself, Joe Margolis, Clive Stafford Smith, Christine Husky is somewhere in the audience here, a few of us out here. I'd actually like, there's a number of the habeas counsel are here, I think. Where they were supposed to be behind me.
They are.
Oh, they are? There they are, okay. Well, there they are. Those are some of the habeas counsel who joined. As I said, there were only a few of us when we began. There are now 500 habeas counsel from around the United States representing the 300 people at Guantanamo. They filed 200 petitions. They're working like dogs on these cases all the time, going to Guantanamo. Their visits have certainly been one of the key ways in which we've prevented torture from continuing at Guantanamo. We've given you a list of the habeas counsel, some of whom are here in your packets. You should be free to talk to them, see them. Each one of their stories is really a story of what we have been able, what unfortunately we have done to human beings at Guantanamo. As you know, today is a day of protest. It's a day of protest against the continuation of Guantanamo and the continuation of a place where no rights are given to human beings. The protests are going on from here in D.C. to San Francisco, from the United States to England to Slovakia to Hungary. All over the world, people are saying it's time to close down Guantanamo, time to close down offshore penal colonies, time to end a place where there are no legal rights for human beings. I was pleased today to see in the paper that Congressman Murtha is planning hearings in Congress on the closing down of Guantanamo. In many ways, it's actually quite symbolic to be here in front of the Supreme Court. And more than that, because in fact, twice, not just once, but twice, first in a Center for Constitutional Rights case that was brought with Tom Wilner and others, that said Guantanamo detainees must have a right to habeas corpus, must have a right to challenge their detention in court. The Bush administration then went against that, got a law that purported to stop the hate, to abolish the writ. Again, the Supreme Court said no, there are legal rights for people at Guantanamo. Again, the Bush administration is trying to stop that. again, most likely we will be in this court again, saying to the Bush administration, Guantanamo detainees have the right to test their detentions in court. The Bush administration that just doesn't get it. Law-free zones are simply unacceptable in America and in a world that wants to call itself civilized or on the page of law in any respect. Today, just a couple of facts. Today there remain 395 people in Guantanamo. Some 380 people have been released, partly as a result of incredible pressure from foreign countries, partly as a result of the pressure from the litigation. But we will not be satisfied until everybody at Guantanamo has a right to a hearing in which they can demonstrate, in which the government must demonstrate the reasons why they are holding. Guantanamo, as I have said, must be closed. It's an embarrassment to this country. It's become iconic in the Muslim world and the greater world for everything that the United States should not be doing in the war on terror, and for everything that we should not be standing for in the war on terror. Thank you very much for being here, and our next speaker will be Larry Cox, the Executive Director of Amnesty International.